Good morning. This is Tom for Tabletop Tap Room. We are doing our series on examining the legacy disclaimers, plural, put out by Wizards of the Coast. We previously did one on the slavery disclaimer, and I should probably reference the actual document with the most forward disclaimers was the Making of the Original D&D, the 1970 to 77, that book. The preface and the forward had went quite a bit further than the legacy, the brief, very bland legacy disclaimer that was put in the drive-through documents. They went quite a bit far forward, and I just thought these claims are very specific claims, and we should be able to examine them. So today, we previously looked at slavery. Today, we're looking at, did Gary Gygax really put a dig on women's lib? But before we get too far into it, let me just say thanks for watching the video. Thanks to my subscribers, and don't forget that like, subscribe, and bell icon. And they help build the channel. They help with the algorithm. Let's look at the actual wording in the Making of the Original D&D. The sentence we want to focus on is, but when in the pages of Greyhawk, that would be the Greyhawk supplement, the description of the Queen of Chaotic Dragons includes a dig at women's lib. The misogyny is revealed as a conscious choice, period. So, first question is there really a dig on women's lib? And if so, because if that is so, then it's quite possible that there is further assertion that the misogyny that they see throughout original D&D is a conscious choice. That's kind of tough to assert that. He was consciously being misogynistic. That's a little tough. Gary's dead. We can't. Hey, Gary, are you a ratbag misogynist? Tell us. Come on. He's dead. He can't defend himself. So, but let's just start with: is there a dig on women's lib? And so, let me do a screen share, and let's type in women's lib. And there it is. So maybe blow this up a little bit. All right, here we go. So let's start with the beginning of the entry. Dragons. These additional varieties of dragons conform to the typical characteristics of their species, except where noted. There is only one king of lawful dragons, just as there is only one queen of chaotic dragons. Parentheses. Women's lib may make whatever they wish of the foregoing. So here's the statement. It's not much of a dig. You've got women's lib may make whatever they wish of the foregoing. What is the foregoing? We need to identify that. The foregoing would be these additional things. Essentially, where he's saying there's all the good dragons, they have a leader, it's a king. And all the evil dragons, they have a leader, and it's a queen. And it's almost kind of a, look, if you're going to criticize us for this, if you're going to make something of this, that, we made the evil dragon leader a woman and the good dragon leader a king. If you're going to make something of it, it's like, whatever. It's not so much a dig. It's just, it's an actual... it's like he's like, you know what? I got a feeling we're going to be criticized for this. It's like he's nervous that we're going to be criticized for this, and so he's just like, look, if you want to make something of that, okay, whatever. It's kind of a whatever. It's not so much a dig. Like I've heard digs on women's lib. I remember being in college and hearing a guest speaker refer to feminazis, which only made me go, let's go to the used bookstore and ask, hey, is there any books written by feminists here? It's like famous book, famous feminists. I'd like to buy and read one. And got pointed to one and bought it and read it. It was a good book. It was really, really, really a good book. I've seen really good digs on women's lib. I don't see this. I see this as he's worried that he's going to get criticized for doing it this way. And like personally, I think that's silly. Has anybody ever criticized, clutch the pearls? They made the leader of the evil dragons a woman. How terrible. Has anybody ever or was it just that, there's a queen dragon out there, there's a king dragon out there, one of them's good, one of them's bad. Tiamat happens to be bad ass. And we say badass, that is with the highest respect, because Tiamat's pretty, you don't want to mess with her. I just don't see the dig on women's lib here from Gary. I see him being consciously concerned he's about to be criticized for what he wrote creatively. And he's like, it's kind of a make whatever you wish. I don't really care. It's one of those. It's if you consider that a dig, it's the most mildest. It's kind of like I just had a friend. I have a friend. I just learned that he does not that he likes peanut butter on his hot dog. Seriously, and and he was like, and once you try it, you're gonna love it. And I'm like, no, I do not. So if somebody said, if I said I do not like peanut butter on my hot dog, and then somebody came along and said, that Tom at Tabletop Tap Room, he don't like peanut butter. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I don't like peanut butter on my hot dog. Okay, but to try to criticize me and say I don't like peanut butter would be stupid, because I love peanut butter. It's that level of trying to find something to criticize Gary. It's bending over a nickel to pick up a penny. It's like you're reaching. It's like it's reaching for it, and it's just not there. There's no dig on women's lib. When you actually look at what he said, there is no dig there. It's very plain that statement foregoing means went before, and it's that he made the leader of the good dragons a male, and the leader of the female dragon, the leader of the evil, the leader of the female dragons, evil. I mean, the leader of the evil dragons, female. Oh God, I got not enough coffee this morning. So I don't see the dig. And in this series, we're calling balls and strikes on WotC, and I got to call that one a strike. There's no dig there. There is no dig. You're straining at a gnat. You're straining to get that, convict Gary of being maybe he is a misogynist. That is entirely possible. But this statement does not make misogyny, if it exists, a conscious choice. Now I'm going to take a stab at their statement in the preface of Making of D&D. It implies that they see misogyny throughout original D&D. It says that the dig on women's lib reveals the misogyny to be a conscious choice. They're saying, look, we see the misogyny here, but this one thing reveals it to be a conscious choice. So they're saying they see the misogyny there. They're just pointing at the women's lib dig. That's not the sole misogyny that they see. So now we've completely discounted there's no dig on women's lib. But there's an assertion, hey, we see misogyny in here. Now, the stab I'm going to take is that the misogyny they see is that in original D&D and AD&D and early D&D, you did have gender-based statistics for height, for weight, for stat modifiers. And you have to ask yourself, is this really, to include this in the game, is this really misogyny? Now, in today's day and age, it's probably viewed that way. But back then, it wasn't. Back then, they're just going to biology and going, This is what biology is telling us concerning males. Biology, and let's be clear here, we're speaking strictly about biological gender. It's a little more fluid today. And so the science back then is saying males on average are going to be, on average, not guaranteed, a little bit taller, and so they're looking at those stats, and that's what biology was telling us back then, in the 70s and in the 80s. I remember this. Okay. So if that's what science is, and in my ears echoing from the last 5 years, follow the science. If that's the state of the science, then that's what we go with. And that's what they were writing. They're going, all right, what's the best science on this? We'll include that in our game on fantasy. A little irony there, but that's what they did. And, I don't think that there is a conscious choice of misogyny. I don't think there's an unconscious choice of misogyny. I don't think you can convict the authors of D&D of misogyny because they included gender-based statistics. That doesn't make any sense to me as a logical thinking individual. That's what the science was saying, and therefore they included it. And it's just not there. So to judge them by that standard is unfair. It's reaching for something so that you can tear down Gary Gygax. And look, he was a man. He was human. I'm sure he had flaws. Sure he made mistakes in life. Okay, but we don't have to invent things to tear him down. Let the dead rest. Let the dead rest, and let's not trash their legacy if we don't have to. So, calling a strike on this one. This is Tabletop Tap Room signing out. Thanks for watching the videos. Thanks to my subscribers, guys. Great. Don't forget that, like, subscribe, and bell icon. Helps with the algorithm. Comment if you agree or disagree. And as always, keep on gaming.